Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar. You ask your cards a question, you pull a spread out, and then you look at the cards and you're like, what have these got to do with the question? Or worse, you're tempted to throw the card back in the deck and reshuffle and pull another card. Yeah, we've all done it. I've done it, guilty more than a few times, especially when I was learning and wasn't sure how to read the cards. But here's the thing. Every card shows up for a reason, even if it's not the answer you thought it would be. Sometimes it takes a little more digging deep to find out why that card showed up in the first place. In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn any 3-card spread into a story so the answer starts to make a little more sense for you. No matter how weird or random the cards are, that's where the real magic happens to give you the answer or the support or the whatever you're looking for when you're playing with tarot. So let's jump in. You don't need to memorize every card to read well. The secret? It's about the relationship of the cards. They're characters in a scene, if you look at it that way. And each brings their own energy, and each has a relationship to the card in front of it and the card behind it. I like to read spreads as a story with a simple framework. You can use one of these setups or mix them up based on your question. The spread could be, and let's use 3 cards because that keeps it simple. The spread could be the situation, the challenge, and the outcome. Another spread could be the past, present, or future, or an alternative spread could be you, them, and the energy in between. Because when you start reading things as a story, you stop worrying about getting it right and you're more focused on the nuances that you're picking up from the cards. You give yourself time to read them. All right. It's a conversation your cards are having with you, with your intuition, with each other. So let me give you an example. Let's do a spread on what's going on with my job situation. So I'm going to use the first card as the situation, the second card as the challenge, and the third card can be the guidance or the outcome. And I'm purposely pulling these cards because more times than not, you're going to get a card that it's like, huh? What does this have to do with the question? But we have to go with what tarot gives us because that's the whole point. Why ask a question if you're not willing to read or hear the answer? So here's what I've got so far. I've got the 7 of Cups, which is the situation. I've got the challenge, which is the 2 of Swords. And as the guidance, I've got the Empress. So let's unpack this a little bit. Now, the 7 of Cups isn't a typical career type card, but this could convey the emotions or the turmoil that you might be feeling when it comes to the work you're doing or the people you're connecting with. Maybe you're overwhelmed with options or just with the dynamics in your work situation. Maybe nothing feels quite right, so you're not really sure where you fit in. So that might represent the situation. And then the challenge, we're going to use the 2 of Swords and read this as maybe there's some indecision that's blocking what moves you make next in your work, or there's just been some mental fog when it comes to the particular situation. But it might be that you're refusing to see the different side of things. You see a this or a that. You don't see an alternative solution to something. And notice how this might be building on that confusion. Where are we here? The 7 of Cups. On that confusion that you might be feeling in this situation. Okay. And then we bring in what the guidance is, and we have the Empress. So she's suggesting that guidance can come from a calm state of mind, trusting in the abundance of your situation. There's that nurturing and aligned space that the Empress provides. Maybe this is somebody at work or this is somebody you want to embody. You want to be this type of persona. Maybe it's someone who has to show a bit of tough love, and it's really difficult because they want to come from a space of respect and camaraderie. So really, instead of chasing external things, this might be speaking of focusing more on where there's abundance, like doubling down on what seems to be working at your job and less worrying about there being so many conflicting emotions and trying to figure out a this or a that solution. But as you see these cards and you see them together, how are they relating? Actually, I've got them out of order. They're supposed to be like this. It's hard to see it backwards. I'm mirroring it. So you've got the stuff that's going on. So many different ideas, so many different objects are popping up out of those cups. And just notice this first one, the person is facing away from the camera. So it's facing the same direction as you are. Looking at those feelings, looking at that intuitive hit, whatever is coming up. And then someone who's facing for these other two are facing forward. Someone is blindfolded and has their arms crossed in front of them, like their thoughts are conflicting with each other. And then the Empress is also facing forward. The Two of Swords and the Empress are both sitting, as you can see in the picture. But this definitely shows someone who's a little more uptight, someone who feels like their hands are tied. For example, like there's things that they can't do. They're waiting for something to happen. Where the Empress is just like, chillax. Everything is going to work out. She's holding her a staff. So she is reigning supreme over any of the thoughts and emotions and things that are coming up. And she's also facing a little toward the left, which I see that as facing toward, not the left, the right. I guess it depends on how you're saying, toward the right. So to me, and that's me as a reader, you might read it differently. It's like she's slightly turned toward the future. So she's poised to trust that she can take the next step. Maybe she's poised to step up out of the chair she's in and take the action she feels comfortable to take. So that's just one way you can read stories from the tarot cards. And although they might not be the cards you expected, they just told you a story about your job situation. And we didn't throw a single card back. So drop a comment what your biggest takeaway from this type of reading is. And if you want to learn how to read without memorizing a textbook, get my Tarot Playbook, which is a hybrid between a journal, resources for tarot meanings, and your own personal reference library. It's only $9 Canadian. The link's in the description below. So thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.